Hello, good evening. Well, this time I'm going to do a stroll from the South Pier down to Stargate area. That's the beginning of the Illuminations. The last time I did from the South Pier up to just past the tower. So this is a quieter end down here, even around the Pleasure Beach area as well. One of the traditional balloon trams, been converted to run on the rails, the New Lord rails. Holds about, is it almost 100 people? 98 people, is it, to be precise? Something like that. It's passing here, so here we go. This is the South Pier. There's 3 of these in Blackpool. North, Central and South. And I understand that the South was an add-on because there was a North and South, and the South was actually originally the Central Pier, but once they added the South Pier, which is much further down this end, away from the other bits and pieces, it started to extend the whole of the seafront area. So you've got the Velvet Coaster over the other side. That's Wetherspoons. And then the Sandcastle complex onto the right side here. And just ahead you can see the Big One coaster right there coming up to us just in the background. During the daytime and also during the busy times of the year, this is filled with people, but at the moment it's quite late at night, so there's not too many people about. It's been raining and it's not one of the busier times either of the year. The busiest times are the half-term holidays in October, and then it's packed to the rafters as far as I know. Actually, I have been here during that time as well. The atmosphere is very good as well. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of people about. They make it, don't they, the people? I've said it before and I'll say it again, that I do love these super wide walkways along the promenade area. They seem to be all the way, I don't know where they begin or where they end, but all the way along the Blackpool areas which I've seen, you can go on, especially the beach side. This is a super wide walkway. So here we are, we're coming up to the big one of the Pleasure Beach now. Even when the Pleasure Beach is closed, they obviously regard this as part of the Illuminations and make sure that this is lit at night. And it kind of takes your eye off the actual illuminations once you come past this little area, doesn't it? But there are illuminations underneath, as you can see. You go over the road there, Ripley's Believe It or Not Auditorium. And if I want to compare this one to International Drive, they have a Believe It or Not there. That's the one with the house that's sinking into the ground. I remember the old frontage area back in the 70s and the 80s, the late 80s. They added the Pepsi Max, as it was known, Pepsi Max Big One. They were the sponsors of that at the time. There it is. It's quite an amazing structure, isn't it? That, and it looks great both at night time and daytime as well. But the thing is, I do think it does dwarf the park. So wherever you are now, you've got a reference in the park exactly where you are. Where I liked it the way you were before, it just make the Pleasure Beach look quite huge itself. It's not that it isn't. It's just now you have perspective really. Once you're inside, you can see exactly where you are. But they added this boulevard area, and I liked how it used to be. You had this walkway along there, which was a lot wider, and I preferred that in more ways than one. And from the south side upwards, that's the direction we're heading to now. There was what they called it, the biggest or the longest log flume ride in the world, and it probably was as well at the time. So you had this waterway it was running over as well, with the Tom Sawyer rafts underneath. So there was like two rides intermingling into one. That happened quite a lot. Then of course on the outer perimeter, right along here, you'd find the monotrain that would be running. Yep, they had a monotrain. They had two different types of. They had the open-ended one and the closed-in one. They both look great. And that would probably be, what, about a 10-minute tour, 15-minute tour on there. Things that maybe people didn't appreciate at the time, but I did. It wasn't a white-knuckle ride, but I thought it was pretty good. Then, of course, right in the centre section here, you had the Space Tower as well, and Space City. So that was that long white tower that had a red and white lift that took you up, rotational lift. So there we go, that's the big drop. 250 feet high, am I right or wrong? 250 foot drop. There's no loops in that one. I don't think there needs to be any loops in that particular one. It's an extreme ride all in itself. Is it still the highest one in the UK? It's one of the highest ones in the world when it was first built. We're coming down to all these thousands and thousands of lights. And they used to have the Star Pub. Was it a Star Pub along there, just on the corner there? That's changed, hasn't it? I've been coming for many years. I've been coming since 1984. My parents brought me down here, and it just, it blew me away. It really did. And then we came down during one summer holiday, and then none of my parents had seen the Illuminations, and thought that'd be nice to come back and see them. And we did, and that blew us away even more. If you've not been here before, just to see them during the daytime, you see these gigantic objects, themed objects, on virtually every lamppost along the way. There's something about 5 to 7 miles of festoon lighting, and themed lighting, and themed lights, and tableaus and everything up the other end, up the Bispam end. And they are giant as well. I suppose this would be more of a sort of a light tunnel, wouldn't it? And right down the end there, you can just see the end. I don't know if that's clear enough, but you can just see the end of the Illuminations, or rather should I say the beginning of the Illuminations. That's initially where all the Illumination traffic used to start. It used to go one direction from south to north, but now I think it goes both ways. In fact, I know it goes both ways. I see they've got what I call the normal, look at the normal lights, they're orange lights, orangey, sort of creamy sort of colour lights. I think that's great even in itself. It gives a whole warm colour to everything, doesn't it? Whereas everywhere else, and especially where I am, we've got all the modern white LED lighting, which is probably about 10% of what it would cost. So it's economical and everything, and I get that. To me, it just looks too, I don't know. It takes all the character away, the warmth away. They're not very warm, are they? So, whereas these, it just all adds to it, that little bit of extra lighting as well. So when the illuminations go off, at least you've got the warm lighting along the seafront. So these, again, are all light tunnels. I remember they used to have a lot of those at one time. Now, whether these are the same ones I remember when I came over in 1989, I had something north of the tower that was very, very similar to this. And I came up with my camera, and it was a Panasonic. And that Panasonic couldn't do as good as all the cheaper cameras could now, because when I looked at the Illuminations, and anybody using one of the old cameras will know exactly what I'm talking about, you wouldn't see colours like that. What you'd see would be white. It would be probably, the white balance would probably cut in as well, make it go blue, and a horrible blue colour, but nevertheless you'd see the reflection from the lights, and an outer perimeter of the lights would give you some indication of what the colour was like inside, but otherwise it would give a boring white light. You would not be seeing the Illuminations. It might be great to show that in black and white, but then wouldn't that defeat the purpose of seeing the Blackpool Illuminations, just seeing it in black and white? So yeah, quite disappointing when you got it back. You think, oh, right, okay. So back in 2013 I purchased a Panasonic HCX 920 which had a 3 MOS sensor inside. That means it could pick up 3 types of light, 3 lots of colours, which was your blue, your red and your green, and then put them all back together again, and that made a heck of a difference. Because it really, I mean, this is doing a very good job as well in itself. I think the more modern day cameras will do. And then I put that one up on YouTube. And whenever I typed back then, a few years ago, I typed in Blackpool Illuminations. That was the one that came to the top every time. I tried it on different search engines. Made sure it wasn't being biased to me and my account. Getting other people to do it, and sure enough it came to the top. But it wasn't getting millions of views. I think this was of interest to people in the UK, or more like in the north west of England. There we go, 250 feet to the top of that structure there, and then they drop you. All part of the Illuminations as well. They always light that up, even when the park's closed. Some of the guest houses and properties down the side there. So if you enjoyed that and want to take a walk with me to even more colours than we've seen in the last section, then I'll be taking a stroll from South Pier to the tower. Just follow the link which will come up shortly. Thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe so you're up to date with all my latest. And I will see you all again very soon on YouTube. Cheers. Thanks very much. Bye.